An expert explained where the Hamas group got 5,000 rockets. The intelligence agencies of two countries, the United States and Israel, have effectively acknowledged their complete and unconditional helplessness. As Jake Sullivan, an advisor to the American President Joe Biden on national security matters, recently boasted, "We want to reduce tension, achieve a de-escalation, and ultimately integrate the Middle East region. There has been a ceasefire in Yemen for 19 months. There have been no Iranian attacks on American forces. Our presence in Iraq remains stable. Thus, the situation in the Middle East is currently calmer than it has been in the last 2 decades." And just a week later, Hamas militants fired 5,000 rockets at Israeli territory. The salvo took only 20 minutes. Of course, the legendary Israeli Iron Dome intercepted approximately 90% of the launched rockets, but hundreds of them still reached their targets. While it's more or less understandable with American intelligence, what about the equally legendary Israeli intelligence agency, Mossad? These folks should certainly know what's happening right under their noses. According to official statements from the Israeli command, only 2,200 rockets were launched from the Gaza Strip, not the 5,000 reported by various media. Nevertheless, when the rocket barrage is counted in the thousands, a valid question arises. Where did Hamas get the quantity of rockets counted in thousands? For Israel's Iron Dome to function, it would require at least 5,000 anti-rocket interceptors. To achieve this, it would be essential to know who, how, and in what quantities supplies Hamas with the resources for producing such a number of rockets. Moreover, the rockets fired from the Gaza Strip are not the typical rockets most people imagine. They are not massive projectiles launched from underground bases. They aren't guided missiles with complex guidance systems, nor do they move on rocket carriers or under the wings of aircraft. In fact, what was fired from Palestinian territory towards Israel is nothing more than rocket artillery systems. Their maximum range does not exceed 140 kilometers at best. They follow a ballistic trajectory, lack sophisticated guidance systems, or are equipped with rudimentary ones. This makes them relatively easy to intercept. However, if you think about it, could Hamas militants have produced 2,200 to 5,000 rockets on their own, without any external assistance? Of course not. The key here is that Hamas receives significant financial support from various countries. According to a professional Arabist and Middle East expert who wished to remain anonymous, the leader among all sponsors of this group is the state of Qatar. Huge financial injections from Qatar to Hamas are related to the fact that the Qataris, on the one hand, dislike Israel, but on the other hand, do not want to engage in open confrontation with it. Therefore, Qatar finds it beneficial to support Hamas to maintain tension in Palestine. In 2022 alone, Qatar transferred more than 1.5 billion euros to Hamas, and Emir Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani became the first head of state to visit the Hamas organization in Gaza. With these funds, Hamas managed to establish several chemical plants for rocket fuel production and gunpowder for rocket warheads in the catacombs and underground shelters in the Gaza Strip, the expert stated. In these underground hideouts, the militants have also set up workshops for processing steel, which is used to manufacture rocket bodies, wings, and warheads. All this equipment was imported through gray channels, involving numerous shell companies, making it difficult to trace the final supplier. Another significant ally of Hamas is Turkey. President Erdogan has aspirations to recreate the Ottoman Empire. This goes beyond territorial claims in Syria. Many of his supporters, especially Erdogan's supporters, do not understand where Israel came from and why it continues to be a source of trouble. To maintain the support of his electorate, Erdogan annually transfers hundreds of millions of euros to Hamas and pursues an anti-Israel policy. This involves numerous non-governmental organizations worldwide, particularly in Germany, collecting money for Hamas rockets. However, while the mentioned countries provide financial aid, Hamas directly receives ready-made rockets from one country, Iran. Despite international pressure and various restrictions, Iran has managed to establish rocket production over decades. For instance, Hamas gets Badr 3 rockets. These rockets are of Iranian manufacture and first appeared in the Middle East battlefields in April 2019, when pro-Iranian Houthi forces used them in Yemen. Badr 3 carries a 250 kilo warhead and has a range of more than 160 kilometers. It explodes 20 meters above the target, dispersing 1,400 additional submunitions with which the warhead is equipped. According to conservative estimates, Iran has transported at least 2,500 such rockets and about 100 launching systems to the Gaza Strip in the last 5 years, the expert noted. So, according to some data, the staggering number of 5,000 rockets in Hamas's possession is not just the result of accumulating them in underground depots over the years, but also a result of the joint efforts of several countries. Without foreign financing, this group would not have lasted even a year, and its militants could not have dreamed of daring raids or launching thousands of rockets. What we are witnessing now is essentially an unprecedented failure of American and Israeli intelligence in the region. How could they miss thousands of rockets is a question that has yet to be answered.